Well, hello and welcome to another LinkedIn Live Q&A interview where I'm delighted to be joined by David Wilkinson, who is a coach and he's actually my coach as well. Been working with him since May last year, and we're going to talk about coaching men to transform their world. So how's it going, David?
It's going very well, Paul. Nice introduction, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very good. So where are you right now?
I'm in Costa del Sol in Spain, so southern Spain, in a little place called Calahonda, which is between Mijas and Marbella. Beautiful little place. So, yeah, moved here end of September last year, and been here just over 4 months now.
Yeah, wow, it's flown by.
And as you can see, I've almost got a bit of a tan. Well, redness, but.
But when we first met, you weren't out there. Obviously, you were over in the northeast. So, but do you want to talk a little bit about that, like the move from where you were and to where you are now, and how that's come about, or why you've decided to do that?
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I suppose we'll give it some context first. Me and my fiance Helen Lee, we decided in 2012 to come out to Spain for the summer, and we came out and we had a gym business at the time, and what we did was we just kind of put some staff in and put it on automation. We came out here and spent like 6-7 weeks out here, just living and just doing a little bit of work. And at that time, we really wanted to move here. We really wanted to make that move in 2012, but it just wasn't the right time for many reasons. Business was, we had a bricks and mortar business, so it required us to be there at least. We just opened it. Mentally and emotionally, I wasn't in the right place to make a move like that. And I think together we weren't in the right place. And over the past 8 years, we've kind of like came out here for various little long weekends or weeks and just loved being here. And then we've also, we were due to get married out here last year in April, but obviously due to the COVID situation, that got postponed to June this year. Again, we will see what happens with that. Yeah, fingers crossed. But in a whole, like that was kind of like we've always been kind of felt like we had a place here. It felt very comfortable for us, very natural for us. And it was dead funny because last year, well, even for a few years, it hasn't been on the radar to move. Like it just to somewhere like this, kind of forgot it. And over the last few years when we were living in County Durham, we were always like, we want to move somewhere. Where should we move? We're looking at Newcastle, Gosforth. And we're trying to create this lifestyle, but we couldn't get what we wanted. And we went away it was kind of how things were a bit easing down in the UK. In August, we went to Bath for a week. And we took a couple of weeks off. And I remember just driving home from Bath. And Helen was like, are we going to move? Are we going to move somewhere else? And I was like, why don't we just move to Spain? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And within a month, we were sewn up at home and moved over here.
Wow. Okay. So that's, well, before we went live, we were talking a little bit about this, about ideas, deciding what it is that you want and really focusing on it, and then having that clarity of thought, and then following it up with real world action, because it wasn't just a wish and a dream. You've already gone out there and the first time spent a bit of time trying to make it happen. It didn't work, but you've kept on going back since then. And that makes it more real than just sitting at home in County Durham with pictures on your wall. Do you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
So yeah, so even though you weren't thinking about it, it was still there subconsciously. Yeah. If it's a good idea and you really believe in it, it'll probably always be there. It'll just resurface.
Yeah.
Further down the line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and one thing as well that maybe would be helpful is like I always wanted to create a life of freedom, and freedom for me meant being able to work from anywhere and do what I wanted to do. And so that is always like for years, that even before 2012, that was a running theme. And it wasn't like a life of freedom, like I think, maybe people have read the 4-Hour Work Week, and I remember reading that years ago, and you think, can you do it in 4 hours? And is it all about sipping cocktails on the beach? And it really isn't. But it's a life of being able to work from anywhere and have the lifestyle that we wanted.
Yeah.
And a massive part of that was being able to take the business online last year. So I'd come out of the gym business full time, and I was building my coaching business up. But then moving it online, the situation that happened last year with COVID allowed that opportunity. So then there was nothing to have to stay there for. Wanted the life of freedom, wanted the lifestyle. The business was then automated online, which freed up everything. And then that was it. So yeah, you're right. It's always been there, but you create those actions consciously or unconsciously.
And the timing just wasn't right before, but the timing was right, like last year. And it's like, you know, I talk about him quite a bit. Brad Burton often talks about what does this make possible? So COVID and like the situation, you were delivering face-to-face coaching sessions, and you're doing your own events, and you obviously couldn't do that anymore because of COVID. But you moved online. You're doing Zoom coaching sessions. So together we have coaching sessions usually every 2 weeks, and then you have a group coaching session for you and a group of your clients as well, and it's all delivered through Zoom. So it's actually, it works really, really well doing it this way. So do you want to explain a bit more about what you actually do and what your coaching business is?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, as you well know, I only work with men, and I think that's always been like the kind of starting point of like, why men? Why is it that you work with men? And it was because and I'm sure we might go into this, like my challenges in the past, but that kind of created this idea where I was like, the ability to build rapport and relationships with men and create a space where men can be open and honest and have genuine, open, honest conversation with another man about their challenges or stresses or things they want to create, what they dream about in life, where they're stuck behind. And I was like, I felt very drawn to being able to do that. Like I've always known that was kind of the angle even years ago that I was going to move to. It was just timing. I even tried it in 2016. Again, just wasn't the right time. Everything comes around when it's the right place to be. And so basically, I work with guys often, business owners or men with a brand, per se, with a skill or a service. And they'll have, something that they want to achieve. Maybe they're stuck with, they don't know what their purpose is, or maybe they do and they're just stuck behind some self-doubts. They're lacking confidence. Maybe they want to create clarity. Maybe they want more balance. The client's needs is not really the challenge. What the issue is, I only work with men who have this challenge. It's men who just want more, to be better, to reach that potential, to show up better as a father, show up better as a business owner, show up in the world better as a man. And I'll work with them. I don't have a set program. I find that's really liberating in many ways, not only from a client's perspective, but a business perspective, because if the client comes to me, they have their situations unique to them. They have their own challenges and experiences and needs and wherever they are. So I sit with them, find out what it is they want, where they are, and we'll devise the plan to work around them. And I'll coach clients, often clients weekly or fortnightly, as you said, Paul, depending on their requirements. And here we are. And one of the big things that I do, that I have a real desire to add into this program once COVID situation allows us to, is to bring clients out here with me in Spain for long weekends and then do more intense development and have that as part of their process and journey, And a big thing, as you said, Paul, is the group stuff, bringing men together, other like-minded men, getting them in a space together to learn from each other, to bounce ideas, to feel like you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And there's some other people who get what you're talking about, can help you, or you help them. That's very powerful.
Yeah. Well, I'm not just saying it, but I do love the coaching sessions that we've been having, and I enjoy the group sessions as well. But I do really love the time that we spend one doing the coaching. And I'd never had a coach before until the start of last year. But a lot of people that I look up to and admire have coaches or talk about having coaches.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning of last year, I worked with a different coach, and she was excellent. Like she was exactly what I needed at the time to get me. She has more of a psychological approach to it, kind of helping you understand your personality traits and why why you behave a certain way and what you're why you do what you do and what motivates. So that for me, that was really, really helpful. So that was Teresa Peters. That was exactly what I needed at the start of the year. But once I had that, I felt like I wanted something different, and we already knew each other because I'd seen you speak at other events, and you'd spoken at one of my Founders Friday events, and like when we talked, I got good vibe from you, and I was just like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want to work with David, and you're right, that kind of working with men, I think it does resonate. I wrote on. You've got lots of very good LinkedIn recommendations, but I've just written you one recently, and I'll read it out. I do say in there that I think that, in my opinion, men will only listen to and be led by other men that they admire for their virtues and their experience, which is what I think makes you a great coach.
Thank you.
What do you think about that? Because not just the recommendation, but the fact that like it's all right, people being a coach or telling you how to do stuff, but if they haven't been there and done that, it's a bit hollow. Do you know what I mean? But like I know that you have been through, you've tried it, you've been on that journey where you've been really pushing hard to grow your business, and it hasn't necessarily been good for your physical or your mental health at the time. You realize actually that's not what you wanted. You've repositioned yourself, and you're a lot more content, and I would say probably a happier and more rounded person now, and that appeals to me. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to acknowledge at the beginning point that coaching for me is not necessarily telling people how to live their own life. It's about the ability to extract out of the other person how they want to live their life, and by what actions and what means, and how to move them past anything where there's a limitation or a doubt there, which we all have, But one of the biggest things I feel that for me that, you talk about there, like, values that link, like I'm just very open and honest. I wasn't always that way though. I went through a lot of therapy and counseling and coaching myself to be able to become open and honest. And I find that when I can sit with a guy and there's no judgment with another person, there's just honesty and the ability for me to be open about things that have challenged me or my situation that's relevant to them. It kind of breaks down those barriers, breaks down those walls. And it's like, we're just two men having a conversation. That makes things a lot lighter. And within that, there's then that freedom to talk. And then I feel like, yes, like you're absolutely right. I have been through a lot myself on my journey, and I'm still on that journey. Like, again, I'm not complete. I'm not finished. I'm not standing at the top of a mountain going, right, okay, this is how to be. I'm still on the steps, but I'm maybe just a couple of steps ahead of the people that I'm supporting or guiding up. I've been through that, as you well say, setting up a business and being completely out of balance, making money but being unfulfilled. Spent months with a therapist to deal with, anger behavior and irritability and stress. Like, so when I sit with another person, I have either done it, I'm going through it, or I'm coaching people to go through it. And it's not something I've read in a book, and it's not make believe. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. I was going through all the I went through all the notes that I've made from our coaching sessions. I typed them up last night.
Really?
So I went back. It's something I've been meaning to do for months, obviously. But like, I've kept them all, and then I just typed them all up, and it was really good to go back through everything. And I mean, there's loads of great stuff in there, but just what you were saying there reminded us a bit. You talked a bit about being both a teacher and a student.
Oh yeah.
And I like that. A lot of what I do through work is, people do come to me for help and advice. But who am I going to for help and advice? So I'm always wanting to learn. I think you never stop learning. I'm always wanting to learn from others how to do things better or in a different way. But I'm always reading books and stuff. But there is a danger in reading too many books and listening too much. And I've written down as well last night that a lot of the time the answers, we've already got the answers. We already know what we've got to do. It's just the more you know and the busier you get, the more cloudy your head gets.
Yes.
And actually, it is really beneficial to just talk things through with you or the coach, but definitely with you, I've found it helpful to get that clarity and that focus and get rid of, like, stop thinking about all this stuff and like get back to basics in a way.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like one of my, it's not a pet hate. It's just something that I recognize when people go, "I've read that book you recommended. Give me another one." I'm like, no, read that book again. Like some books, like I've read like 3 times every year. Like what's interesting is I was an absolute book fiend, like for years, like buying books and like, you know, on everything. And I'd read it once, so I'd read a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one. And you're right, you forget more than you know. And I remember, because especially when I packed up our home and put a lot of stuff in storage, boxes and boxes of books. I was like, John, remember that book? Remember that book? I came out here with 3 books, 3, and we top books. And I just read them over and over and over again. Yes, I've added one more since I've come out here, but I'm just like, you're absolutely right. People are just looking for more information. And what we really need is, without being cheesy, is implementation. Is actually, if you implemented everything you already know, you'd be exactly where you want to be. But the problem is we think that answers in the next podcast, the next book, and we're just busy all the time. And there's no space for thinking, reflecting, and creating that space for yourself. And we do that, obviously, Paul, like you said there, in a conversation, extracting, getting things out of your head. And I know you did mention it, so it's a good time to move on to it, which is the journaling element we're talking about, which I think feeds towards that, you know. And I have a really good saying that I used a lot last year, and it's, you know, less but better. And that is a major motto for me this year, and it was last year. Less but better. Doing less, but doing everything better. Less actions, less books, less like social media, but everything you do is better.
Do you think? I mean, I've got a bookshelf full of books. Right? So
I know. I see it every time we talk.
I've read a lot of those books. Well, I've read most of those books, but there are a few on the shelf that I've not read. Right, but I mean, I do love books. It is like, I do love books, and I probably. I mean, it's probably one of the things I spend the most money on, actually, is books. I mean, I'm not extravagant, but I do buy a lot of books, or I have bought a lot of books, and I'm trying really hard not to buy books, because there's no end to it. There's always a new book. But what I've found definitely is, like, a lot of the themes repeat themselves, you know. And I've got to a point now where actually, like, I'm seeing the patterns everywhere. It's like, well, I've seen that before, I've read that before, and one of the things. But you know, I'm writing my own book now, so I'm writing a book titled "Start Something New." And when I'm actually sitting down and writing it, I've got some great bloody ideas. Like, I know it. I've got some fantastic stuff to share, and that's from experiences, things I've done, things I've read. But it's all in there. But I just need to get it out, so it's less input and more output. And, but do you think buying books or listening to podcasts or doing training courses, do you think it's a form of hiding?
Ooh, I like that. Yes, in some ways it is. Don't get me wrong. Again, like you, Paul, I love books. I think books are an amazing resource. I think podcasts are an amazing resource. I think going on courses are. But it can be a form of, like, sedation. It can be a form of hiding. It can be a form of obsessively trying to learn and put more in, because maybe there's a reason why you're not putting out. You're not putting what you know out there. So there's a lot of the time, like I was saying there, is like they think the answer is within the next thing external to them, the next book, the next course, the next podcast. The answer's already within you. You already know everything that you need to do, everything. But if you're fearful of actually getting behind that and getting past that limitation and fear that is there, and it is a fear, it's some way, shape or form, it'll dial down to that. That's where you've got to look inward instead of outward. That becomes that inward. And you said it there. You've got some amazing ideas that just come out of you when you actually give the space to think. Out, out, out. Don't need more in right now. I would say that's for most people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, you're spot on there. I mean, I try to. One thing I would say, if I read a book, I do try to implement the ideas in there. Like, I usually do implement it, or it's just the same as like if I take part in a meeting, I don't see the point of just sitting there and silently not contributing. And like I'm always like, what's the point? I'm investing my time and energy in this. So what's the point of just reading a book and never doing anything with the idea in there? So that's what I would say is I think you never stop learning. You should like always feed your mind and keep yourself. It's all about wisdom and knowledge. That is important, but do something with it. Don't just don't just keep it all to yourself and then read another book, because it takes bloody time reading a book as well, doesn't it? So the time that you spend reading a book, what could you be doing?
Do you know what you said? What I was just going to say there, exactly bang on. Like the time you spend reading a book, however many hours it takes, you could have been using those hours to enrich your life out of other parts. You're absolutely right. Wisdom is key, but how much wisdom do we get by actually learning, like doing, and the experience of doing and making mistakes and going through life? And sometimes like there is a space for that, like the actual doing of stuff and experiencing great things in life to actually learn from our own experiences, not necessarily always somebody else's experience, and drawing back on that. And I think what you're doing there, where you're writing a book, is an amazing part of just recap over what you know and extract your own experiences. And you'll actually go, I mean, you can tell the people better than I can, but you're probably like, what a great idea. I forgot about that. And I might use that myself again. Do you know what I mean? Like little nuggets.
Oh, yeah, it's all coming out, because that's the thing. You know, there's plenty of times when I've shared stuff in a tweet or something, but it's gone. Do you know what I mean? Or like in a conversation or an event, or a lot of these things that I've used them before, or I've thought them before, but they're not packaged up in a succinct way. They're not like a tangible thing that can be shared in a useful. I mean, it sounds ironic. We're saying don't read books, but I'm writing a bloody book. So
read both.
So when my book comes out, everybody buy my book, and then you won't need another book after that, because David gets mentioned in that book anyway. He gets featured in that, so it's definitely worth buying it just for that. But should we talk a little bit more about? I know you did touch on it. Who you work with, and it's specifically men, and then so why typically why would they come to you? Is it like you say, is it usually they're at a bit of a crossroads, or a bit stuck, or kind of I know some of the other clients that you work with from the group conversations, but we're all amazing guys. I mean, really great guys, just personally, like personality wise, but I would say we've all achieved great things, or on the verge of achieving great things, but there's something that's holding us back a little bit, and it's often just our own thoughts that are holding us back. So do you want to say about like when and why someone should work with you?
Yeah, I think you basically touched on them there a little bit. You know, you've got people maybe at a crossroads of life. You know, that crossroads could be, you know, the direction. Where do I go? You know, I've been in this career or business, and it's not giving me the fulfillment that I want now, and I'm looking to do something else. I'm just not sure what it is. Maybe they're stuck. I'm stuck. I'm working in my business. I love it, but I'm trapped in it. I can't grow it. I can't get out of it. I'm in this kind of dichotomy place of good and not so good. And they tend to be the big reasons, you know. I think a lot of the time, and you're absolutely right, Paul, like some of the guys work with the things they've created in their life are amazing. Like whether or not that was a career, a business, the success, they're all successful in their own right, in their own way, but they're not fulfilled. They're not fulfilled. It's just like it's not making them as happy as they thought it would, not as what they want. Maybe they're not financially where they want to be. Maybe they're not as free as they want to be, or they're just not enjoying it. And you've got all these things that then pile into that. If somebody is stuck somewhere and they've been there for a long time, and then they start creating more stress and overwhelm, and they try to figure out how to get out of it, then they can't get out of it, and you get trapped in your own thinking and your own actions and your own thoughts. And this is where this place becomes, and you just need somebody, sometimes often like me from the outside, just to help ask you those questions, to draw through, to kind of give you insight into what you're saying, or help, you move through that, to challenge you, to support you, to tell you the biggest one I find is to get you to tell you the truth that nobody else in your life will. To just tell you the actual truth. And that was a massive thing. Like, I had to work on as a coach, just be like, it's all about making the difference to the client, right? So, like, let's say for the client, it's like, the biggest factor I can get stuck behind, certainly for me, is I don't want to say the wrong thing and upset this person. I don't want them to leave as a client. I don't want you get trapped in all this me behavior, me. And that was the wrong place to be. I needed to be for the client. So that it was always about, how do I make a difference to this client? What difference can I make to this person if I work with them? And at times I've had to ask either very, very challenging questions, or tell the absolute truth to this person, like hold the mirror up for them. There could be a moment in there where they're like, Dave, I hate you. I don't want to ever work with you again. But in that moment is its ability to, like, hopefully to set them free, for them to become free in their own thinking. And that's, that's one of the biggest things, sometimes just being taught the truth. And one more thing I think as well, because there's always a host of reasons. It's lonely. It's very lonely. Like, let's talk about it. Like, you think, like, in business, I don't want the outside world to know that I'm not doing as well as I really want to. I want to show that I'm a success. I'm doing this. I don't want to say that I'm not happy, or I don't have the answers. Maybe in the relationships at home, they don't always want to speak the truth about how they feel. Maybe their partner isn't interested in their business or life, or in themselves. Maybe they don't have a space with their friends or a social group where they can be absolutely honest. So it becomes a lonely place to be with your own thoughts all the time. And just have somebody else in that space to, like I said earlier, to create that openness and honest, transparent environment. You'd be very surprised of how you no longer feel alone, no longer think my situation's unique, no longer think there's only me this way, and you get round other guys, and it's very powerful. That.
Yeah. No, well, as one of your clients, I definitely value that, because it's like you say, a space to talk and to think and reflect on what you're doing, because if a lot of the time it is you're stuck in your own thoughts, and like you like you say, you can't necessarily tell if you've got a team, you can't necessarily tell your team if you're seen as the leader with all the answers. People are looking at you. You can't always tell them the challenges that you got, or that you just don't know the answer, or whatever, or you're struggling. And then your family or your loved ones, maybe that's part of the problem. You can't talk to them about what's going on, or you're hiding something from them, or you just the relationship's not as close as it once was, because you're distracted and you've focused on trying to fix this problem on your own, and you're not including them for whatever reason. And then even your friends, like, I mean, some of my best mates, they're still like, what do you do again?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, it doesn't matter, because we're just mates, and we've known each other for so long. Like, it doesn't matter what we each do. We're just mates. We just love spending time with. But like, they don't want to hear me talking about business or anything I'm working on all the time. They get bored. They want to talk bollocks. We want to talk. That's what. Again, that's a lot of the time. That's what blokes do, isn't it? They just go to the pub or hang out with the mates and just talk random utter bollocks. Who are they talking to about the deeper? Probably no one. Often no one in a sweeping statement, but a lot of time I think women are better at talking about everything to their friends or to their mothers or whatever. But men aren't so good at that. So I think what you're doing is really, really valuable. And not just as a one-to-one thing, but the group sessions as well, I think are great, because we've all got different things going on, and sometimes it's not directly relevant, but you still learn from what the other people are saying and what they're sharing, and in that non-judgmental. I think it's really powerful, really valuable what you do. So I'm very grateful for what you do. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Paul. And I'm very grateful for you being a client of mine. And like, I know we're not just like rubbing each other up here, you know what I mean, on this call, but it's genuine. Like, I genuinely love working with you. I've like thoroughly loved our journey to this point, and it is amazing to see, to not only like, this is I always think this as well. Like, I learn a lot. You see, like, I learn a lot from my clients. It's not just a one-way thing. Learn so much from guys like you who are building business and striving, and you know, have families and other commitments, and from all the guys, like, the people around you are your best teachers. There's a best statement that I think is ever true. If you look, the people around you are your best teachers, whether or not you learn from them, or so like they're a message to you, like, so I could learn something from you, or they're a mirror of you. So if you get triggered or frustrated, upset by somebody, there's a reason why, and you can learn from that. Like, and I'd say the thing that you did say before, where I know it's a bit of a sweeping statement, but in essence, it's partly true. You know, like, women are better at talking about things on a whole than men, even if it's just to their friend, and they can tap into that vulnerability and how they feel. That's massive. And like, I said this to my fiance in January, and I kind of just realized it after, 10 years or nearly 11 years, like, she is one of the greatest teachers for me. You know, that, like, she teaches me so much about my life and myself, how to be open, like, how to love. Like, I know we're going to get in deep here, but this is the truth, like, how to show love, how to express it, how to be emotionally open and vulnerable. So people around you can learn so much, and that's amazing.
Yeah. Not
only from your groups, but those around you that you love. And like you say, men maybe are a little bit more backed off from that, like, well, I've got to be tough, I've got to be strong, I've got to, present this certain front. But I think we all know the challenges that is causing for men, whether or not it's older or younger men. There is a big challenge now with suicide and mental health problems. I know it's in the world as well, but we're talking about guys here. They need a space where they can be open, they can be vulnerable, they can speak what's on their mind. And if you don't have that, keeping it all in, and that ain't good.
No. So on that, I mean, talk a bit about the some of the things. Well, in the group sessions that we do, particularly, I've written down. You kind of focus on 4 kind of key areas in the group session. So number 1 is muscle or fitness. 2 is mindset. So you call them the 4 M's. So muscle, fitness, mindset, marriage or relationships, and money. So do you want to talk a bit more about that? About why those 4?
Yeah. So basically, they're what I would identify as the 4 key pillars for our development as people. Okay. And without, if any one of those is neglected or out of kilt or balance, the rest are not as stable, like a chair with 4 legs. You take one of them legs away, and then the chair becomes very unstable, and eventually it is going to tip over. And so what I highlighted, and because I was obviously very highly invested in the health and fitness industry, I understood how important health is. We call it muscle in the group because 4M sounds really cool, right? It's better, you know what I mean? It sounds much better, 4Ms. But that fitness, that health, that by taking care of you, like our 2 biggest things that we want out of that is energy and confidence. So we want our health to be higher so we can be more energized, feel more energetic, feel more confident. I'm not talking about you've got to be stripped and have abs. I'm just being health in what that means to you in a physical, mental, and emotional way. So that is very, very important. I see those men that adopt a healthier lifestyle are far less stressed, a lot more energetic, a lot more capable with doing a little bit more or thinking a little bit clearer. There's that anxiety is almost burned out of them a little bit. And I think movement and breaking a sweat is absolutely critical. And especially since we sit a lot of the time, right? So overall, that is key. The mindset area obviously is that self-development, your mind, clearing your thought, understanding yourself, self-awareness, insight, developing that part of you. So that comes under a massive section, mindset. Marriage or relationships, because that's the nucleus of your home. Whether or not you've got a family or married or in a relationship with somebody, that's the nucleus. Everybody wants to be loved and everybody wants to give love. Let's not talk about like business and everything's more important than that. That is everything. So that area, the men that do not take care of that, neglect it, or just think it'll take care of himself, are the guys in the most challenging situations, because they're always going to get pulled back to the home stress. You're not there. You're not in the relationship. You're neglecting. You're not present. You're distant. You're not spending enough time with the kids in quality. You're on your phone, whatever it is. That there has the ability to destroy everything around you if you don't take care of it. From personal experience as well, burning relationship down, neglecting relationships for business. So that there is a key area. And, some of the conversations, Paul, we've had about in that area are what men probably would never talk about, intimacy and love and all that stuff. So I think it's really powerful. And then money, like how you make your money. So money is like how you earn your money, whether or not that is through a business or a career or whatever you're doing. And that there, you could put in your purpose into that if you wanted to, your fulfillment into that, weight, you whatever you're doing. So their 4 legs are propping up your chair, which effectively is your life. And we always make sure that we're coming around to them every 5 weeks. Bam, 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 bam. Keep coming around, drilling in, taking action, putting actions in place to enable you to level up in those parts of your life.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, they're all interlinked, aren't they? It's all about getting balance. And I've just thoughts just popped into my head. You're talking about if you took one of those away, how it would be unstable, like from 4 legs to 3 legs. But I was just thinking, if one of those legs is too long, stable as well. Did you know? Like, if you think about it, like, because some people do focus far too much on one of those things or 2 of those things and neglect the others, and then. Or they might think, oh, well, once I've achieved this, then I can sort out the other stuff. But if they're not careful, it's too late. So that happens a lot, doesn't it? Where they're like, all right, once I'm really fit and I'm really, then all my confidence will come and I'll be able to sort out the like maybe the relationship side of things, or like once I've made all this money, then I can treat my girlfriend or my wife or my kids. But in the meantime, you're neglecting them and you're never there because you're working so hard, and then by the time you've got the money that you want to treat them, they don't want to know because they
and I mean, there's plenty of blogs on my LinkedIn, like personal blogs that I've wrote about that actually from my own experience, where it's been a case of overly extending the business leg and make the money leg and trying to make more money in a hope that when I get to X point, then I can start taking care of, our home life and relationship. Then we can get married. Then we can have kids. When I've made X, and it's almost like, but what is the sacrifice to that point? And guess what? Getting to that point wasn't worth it. Like, so the sacrifice of getting there and, neglecting relationships or neglecting myself or family to that point, getting there, and then it wasn't worth it anyway. So you're absolutely right. You can be too extended in one area. And it's not as if, like, let's say you work 8 hours a day, for example. You don't have to go to the gym 8 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't require the same amount of balance. But if you think about it, your health, you work out and it's about what you eat and resting and sleep. So actually there is an element there. And what is the point of like putting all that time into your business and then just coming home and like neglecting your wife and just being like, well, I'm on my phone and I've got emails to do, and then it's 11 o'clock at night and you can't sleep and then you're up till 1, and the cycle just perpetuates itself. So it is very important. And it's not to say that every area is perfectly aligned and balanced, There will be times when you need to be a little bit more on the family because something's happening at home, or a little bit more on your business there because you need to earn money in the situations demanding it. But it's always about recalibrating, like just checking in. What are my actions this week for that part of my life? Am I in balance? Have I been spending time with these people? Have I been working on myself? Have I been giving myself space? So that's the general theme,
Yeah. It's like you say, it's constant, isn't it? It's like you've got to. There will be times when you'll be pushing harder in one area, but just being aware of that, and because it can creep up on you, before you know it, you're stuffing donuts in your face, just keep you going, and then just it's all about balance.
Start to know the Domino's delivery guy's first name and stuff like that.
But fun is an important thing as well. Like why are not just Ben, but why are we working? What are we working for? What are we trying to make money for? Presumably it's to do something with that money, like to enjoy it, to enjoy your life, not on your own, but with others as well. Yes, you can have fun on your own, but like you can have more fun with someone else. So I think that's really important to get people to take stock of where they are with that. Actually, ages ago I wrote ideas for chapters for this book, and one of them was I'm balanced or imbalanced.
Okay.
So I thought that, like, at the time I wasn't feeling balanced. I was like,
so what I'm balanced.
I'm balanced. I'm balanced or imbalanced.
I like it. Nice.
Yeah, so there you go.
I might take that for myself.
Use it. Yeah. Well, that's what I want. I want people to read this book and take bits of it to use themselves. But at the time, I was thinking I'm not balanced. I'm out of balance here. Totally out of balance here.
We'll be on a coaching call, Paul, and I'll use that phrase on you, and I'll be like, "Oh, look."
Use it in the group session, and I'll see where that comes from. Well, actually, on that, we'll talk before I forget, because you did. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, no, I am. I'm going to talk about this. You talked a bit about. We've been talking about journaling, so the importance of getting your ideas out of your head into some sort of format. So, journaling's not something I've ever done, but a lot of people do swear by it and think it's really important. And I did. One thing you've got a WhatsApp group for some of the clients that we regularly kind of, I guess it's like encouraging each other, and it's not competitive. It's just like kind of encouraging and sharing things that we're working on, and kind of. But you asked a question about who journals, and you said you felt it was transformative for yourself, and I said, well, it's not something I've ever done, and I think one of the reasons I don't or have shied away from it is because I felt like I'm always either writing blogs or emails or now books, or I'm creating content in the form of videos and podcasts. So the thought of adding something else on my plate, another journal, like I've avoided it. But why do you think it's important or useful?
So yeah, so I'll talk about for my own experience. So for me, journaling is I would do it in a couple of different manners. Number one, can spend time just checking in, so inward. So when you talked about that there with like podcasts and writing and stuff, that's still outward production. So you're putting outward. What I'm talking about with journaling is like that self check-in, like how do I feel today?
Yeah.
Like how do I feel mentally today? And writing about that. How do I feel emotionally today? How do I feel physically today? Might even score them 1 to 10 and then give myself that score, because it's about that self-regulation. Like it could be like what is going on in my world right now? What experiences am I having? What mine today was. I reflected back on January and wrote down things I was proud of. How often do people spend time going, I'm proud of this accomplishment, versus I haven't done enough, I haven't done this, I need more. Just that regulation of like, I'm proud of this. Something like what makes me, what have I done today that makes me happy? What one thing today can make me excited? So I'll spend time also questioning myself. because when do we ever spend time doing that? Just like, so like a self-analysis of like, you know, what one thing am I excited about today? What is my number one priority today? What might stress and challenge me out today? How would my best self deal with this situation? So there's loads of, so you can either do an inward reflection, that's what I would do, or powerful question, which I like to do, or if I'm going through something, like, so like when I was going through that detox, and I talked a little bit about with you guys, the detox was way beyond just a physical thing. It was an emotional detox. It's almost like lifting off all this stuff. And I journaled so much that time, like how I was feeling, what was coming in my mind, what thoughts was I having. And it all starts stemming around like punishment, self-punishment, not taking care of myself in the way that I should be, always trying to work out harder, eat better, not enough mentality. So that's, it's kind of like journals are like an expression of the inward, finding that, and you can use it in a positive manner if you want to structure things up for yourself, but it's more of an internal. And I'm just, what people are, when people are on a journey, like a coaching journey, a self-development journey, you've got to give your mind that space to get out of it, what is going on, in a non-productional way, as in like I'm writing blogs. I mean, you can put them in stuff, but it's the inward reflection. And I do it, you know, I used to just go in and out of it, Paul, and I used to do, like, I've been doing it for years, but not properly and sporadically. Now it's every day, 5 minutes, half an hour, whatever I want to do daily. And I just, it's been miraculous for me. And then when I get clients messaging me stuff like, you know, certain situations they're having, certain thoughts having, I'm like, are you journaling? Oh, no. Well, these are what you need to be journaling, this thought that you're having right now. Because every time you work with a client, you're peeling back that onion and something's going to come out when you're not expecting it. That thought there, question that thought, inquire with that thought. Where's that coming from? Is it true? So there's various things we can do there, but transformative, mate.
Right. And do you do it every morning? Is that when you do?
Every morning.
And what do you write in? Is it like a journal? Is it like
I just bought this notepad over here because I just buy a new one of them. So but I have got clients.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what it is, because some people spend loads of money on a journal and it just sits there because it looks beautiful, but they don't use it.
Yeah, I've seen, some clients I know have got like some really like lovely leatherback bound ones, which is beautiful as long as you're using it. You know, if that's like really precious. But I'm knocking out, like, sometimes I'm knocking out 2-3 pages at a time. You know, A4, bam, bam, bam. So it's kind of like you spend what you want on it, but it's not that how sexy it looks isn't going to make me want to write in it. Writing in it is what makes me want to write in it. So that's critical, you know, for me anyway.
Okay, no, I can see the benefit. Like you say, it's contemplating how you're feeling for no.
Yeah.
You know, the point isn't to share it with other people necessarily. I mean, there might be some ideas in there that will emerge elsewhere, but you're writing it for yourself just to get your ideas out. And I guess it's quite therapeutic doing that. And otherwise, a lot of the time you're not. As soon as you get up, you're on the go. You're responding to other people's demands on your time, and you're not just taking that space and time for yourself.
No. I'll share something, Paul, might be relevant for like people. So like we have these things now, don't we? Like they're everywhere. Morning routine, right? This selection of tick list activities that people do in a morning, right? And often I think people don't know why. Why do you do that for? Like, why are you putting your time into that? Is it so, you know, because you think you should, because someone said that you should do it, because it's the latest craze on the book you're reading or Instagram? But I'll tell you why I don't like calling it morning routine. There was a phrase I heard a while ago, and I thought this is the best phrase I've ever heard. It's called creating the lens in which I see the world through, right? Yeah. And this quote from a guy called Steve Hardison, he's an amazing coach and well worth looking at for people. And I was like, so I looked into it, and it's like basically because the way we see our world is always just a projection and reflection of how we see ourselves. So when we wake up, our world is being viewed from how we see through our own eyes. And that can be if you're anxious, if you're feeling depressed, if you're overwhelmed, if you're reactive, And that spirals itself through everything that you do, every action that you take, conversation you have. You're not in control. You're not in control of what you're doing. So this process of like creating the lens every day is about you shaping how you see your world. And so I'll use activities such as meditation, breathing, journaling, and exercise to create that. Now, I'm very fortunate in many ways. Like, I don't have kids, so I have this luxury of being able to do this. But I don't get on a call with a client. So I'll start at 10 o'clock with clients usually. And I won't get on that call with that client until I've done at least an 8 mentally, emotionally, and physically. Okay? So or higher. So what that means is I will work out if need be. I'll meditate if need be. I'll journal if need be, because I need to get this right before I end up with a client. Otherwise, I don't know how much I could be projecting onto them, how much I could be reacting off them. I need to be neutral in this space. And so it's very important that I shape that lens for me. So I turn up and show up how I want to in that call. And I shared that voice note with you guys the other week about my aims and how we're showing up. And that's part of it. So unless I'm in that space, I'm not a powerful coach. I'm not the best coach. Plus, then I'm not the best in my life. I'm not the best in my relationship. I'm not the best for me. I can become moody and distant. So I've got to every day shape that and create that lens. And if I don't, it does have an effect on me. Might not be the next day, but a couple of days down the line, I feel not in the space that I want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I suppose, I think, over the years, I thought like the further you are from the ideal version of yourself, the more unhappy you are, because everybody has it. Everybody has an idea of who they want to be and what they want to do. And if you're not doing that, if you're not living towards that, that's when you get depressed or frustrated with yourself. So you know what you want to do. I know what I want to do. So if I'm doing those things, like I feel good. So yeah. So and the idea, the world doesn't change. The world is just the world.
The world is the world.
It's your perception. Like I have a perception of my world and the world around me, and you have like that. That's all the mind is, isn't it? You're interpreting shapes and colors and things in your mind. So everybody's world is different. The world doesn't change. It's just it just is.
Yeah. And the greatest analogy of that at the minute is like if you just look at your Facebook feed, right? And if you watch The Social Dilemma, and it talks about how everybody's Facebook feed's uniquely built to them, of what they do on Facebook, what they like, what they view. So everybody's feed's unique from your viewpoint of how you live your life. So our exact way we live our world is exactly the same. 97% of it is our own perception, our own fears, insecurities, loves, beliefs, and values just getting projected out there. And if we don't know what they are, and you don't know who you are fully, then you don't know that you're making the right decisions, or that you're being reactive to people. Or, one of the biggest ones is like, I always think this one, if you speak to somebody or somebody irritates and triggers you, it's something about you. That's the problem, not them. They're living their life. I'm not, it's you that's feeling triggered by that person's behavior. I'm not talking about someone who's like hitting you or emotionally, like I'm just saying like a friend or a work colleague, and you're like, don't like that person, and you get irritated as being them. You need to be you in you. So what is it about you? And there's a really important, my fiance is going to laugh when I share this because I say it all the time. I got it out of a book, Byron Katie's book. There's only 3 places you can be: God's business, your business, or their business. God's business is the world, the weather, coronavirus, Boris's decision, everything that's going on around you. You can't be in that because you're not in control of that. Right? So that's, people get reactive, anxious, depressed because of that, because they think they can. If I'm in your business, Paul, so if I'm thinking about you and your life and how you're living your world and how you should be doing this and how my expectation of you is this, and why isn't Paul acting like this, or why is Paul behaving this way, then I'm in your business. And guess what? I'm not in my business. And if I'm not in my business, I can't change my life. I can't develop my world. And if that's where, again, journaling helps you come back into where are you spending your time
Mm-hmm.
in your world, in your business.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, you know, I'm really into Stoicism. I'm bound to get this in, but ancient Greek philosophy, very practical. But what I love about that is it's all about how it doesn't really matter what people say and do or what goes on in the world. You can't control.
Yeah.
Other things. The only thing you can control is your own mind. You have the power to control your own mind and how you respond or react to things, if at all. Like it's okay to get upset and emotional if you choose to, but you can decide ultimately if that's going to affect you or not. So I love that sort of practice. That gives you a lot of power and realize that you can control your day and your life. And then the other thing, more on the kind of mystical, kind of spiritual thing about the notes from the universe and thoughts become things. I love that as well, because everything is just a thought away. Every day I read the Daily Stoic, today's entry, but I also open notes from the universe just at a random page. And I think, today's was all about the life that you want is just a thought away.
Yeah.
And it is, once you get clear on, you can have that. If it's humanly possible, you can have whatever you want if you really want it. And if you follow that thought, if you focus on it and you follow it with real world action, so it's really important. Basically, be careful what thoughts you're having.
Yeah, be really careful.
And whose thoughts are they? Are they actually your thoughts? Are they other people's thoughts? Is it the media's thoughts? Is it Facebook's thoughts? Who's in those thoughts and ideas into your head? So be really careful what you're letting in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that can just send you off in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
All directions. So.
Well, journaling again is another powerful way of just again reaffirming that and doing that. Like these thoughts, are these thoughts even my thoughts? Like are they somebody else's, that, like you said? And that's a really good way of just checking back into that all the time. Yeah. Otherwise, thoughts become things, right? And you're right. On the positive side, you're only a thought away from creating the world you want, or you're only a thought away from being like stuck in pain, anxious, not where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. So So thoughts become things. So be careful what thoughts you're having, because if you're dwelling on the negative all the time, you're never going to get out of that.
Yeah.
Because it's got a habit of making things worse. Actually, just quickly, years ago, I used to work with a guy who first thing he would do, read all the papers, and then the rest of his day was all a conversation about the news and all the bad things going on in the world. It's like, bloody hell, man! Like, no, your whole life, your whole day is affected by stuff that you've got no control over, and that's bringing you down, but you're also bringing everyone else down around you because you're just talking about all the negatives. So, I mean, I don't mean ignore, there's a lot of important things going on in the world, but like limit your consumption of negative thoughts and stories and bad things going on in the world. Otherwise, that will just mess with your head. And try and fill it with more positive, uplifting things.
Yeah, well, again, like how do you start your day? If you start your day and the first things you put into your mind is the news or the newspaper or something like that,
or social media that's going to make you feel bad.
Social media, you're already lost the day. Like it's like you're already playing catch up. Now you're reactive to what's going on. Your emotions have been triggered before you even know it. That's why the first hour of the day is yours, your day, and you shape that how you want, and you do the things that are putting the right vibes into you. You know, whatever that is. Go for a walk, like get up a little earlier, do some breathing, listen to something positive, read something positive, whatever it is. That first hour is yours, and if you give that away to email, social media, BBC News, whatever, like you're already reactive without even realize. The first hour is yours. Spend it wisely.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, well, that's why I've started writing the first. So I'll get up. I do have a routine, and I've just done a video about this. But I like actually having just. I talk about, like, have you heard of decision fatigue? If you've got too many decisions to make, it can actually tire you out, and your decisions get worse. So that's why some people wear the same outfit every day, because they don't even have to think about it, or they have the same breakfast every day or whatever, because it's one less thing to worry about, especially if they're making lots of decisions in the day-to-day life. Anyway, I always have the same breakfast. Now I drink a glass of water first thing I do, thanks to you. Drink a glass of water. I always have a bowl of cereal, usually the same bowl of cereal that I've had for the past 8 years, I think, right? and a coffee. Then I'll read today's entry for the Daily Stoic. Then I'll turn to a random page in Notes from the Universe. Then I listen to some music. And I do 30 press-ups. Then I was going out on my skateboard, but now I'm writing because the weather's not so good. I'm now writing for an hour.
Very powerful.
Every morning I'm doing that. Well, not every morning. I'm aiming for every morning. That is for February. I'm going to aim to do every single morning from onwards. But that's my first hour. Hour and a half. That combined is an hour and a half, and I get up at 6:30 every morning. So that takes me up till 8 o'clock. So
And if people don't, like, let's say people listen to this and they don't have that luxury of having that much time, even 20 minutes of time for yourself is still valuable, you know, like you say, read a quick page or something, do a couple of push-ups, get a glass of water. Jobs are good, and, you know, you can even have start your day positively in 5 to 10 minutes. Like, it's just about the routine, and you nailed it with that word, and that's beautiful, because it's not only about making a commitment, which, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, making a powerful internal commitment to yourself, but it's actually just about creating a routine that delivers on that. So what happens is you can get very, obsessive about the outcome of a goal. I want to lose 3 stone. I want to make 100K, whatever. But what you want to get obsessed with is the routine every day of just doing that. So the routine to lose 3 stone might be not getting obsessed with it. Might be just get on the treadmill or go out for a walk 20 minutes. That's what I do between 6 and 6:30. I just walk for 20 minutes. Like that takes care of that. You just become that, reading the book, doing the push-ups, writing. Like, you want to write a book, you got to get into the routine of writing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't worry about the book. The book will happen, but only when the routine is shaped. And that's a big one.
Yeah. No, well, it's just like you said, not just waiting for the inspiration to strike, or when you're feeling like it, just do it, just commit to doing it, and then trust the process, because definitely that actually sitting down and writing it's coming out, it's just flowing out when I'm doing it. And even I am naturally a slim guy, right? But I'm not getting any younger, and I was I was getting a bit flabby around the middle and not as fit as I was. But a year and a half ago, I thought, actually I want to be fitter and I want to eat better, so I started swimming every day. Every morning, Monday to Friday. First thing I would do, go swimming, then go to work. I started eating better, and there was no kind of end goal. It wasn't like I want to be this weight, or I want to be this size, or this. It was just like, if I do something every day, I'm going to be fitter, and I'm going to be healthier, and I'm going to look better, and I'm going to feel more confident, and I'm going to just be happier all around, because I'm taking some ownership of that. I'm not waiting for someone to do it for me. I'm doing it for me, and it's worked. I'm in the best physical fitness that I've ever been. I think I look younger than my years, and you don't have to agree with that.
I agree.
I'm definitely fitter and stronger, and I look better than I ever have, because I was swimming, eating better. Then I started skateboarding last year. I think I'm going to start running properly, like even just a little bit every day when the weather's not so good, because at the minute I haven't been going out on my skateboard. But anyway, the point is doing something a little bit every day. You will get closer to where you want to be. If you don't do anything, so you might as well start.
Yeah,
something's better than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the key, is just committing to the routine of doing something, whether or not it's the swimming, it's the push-ups, the skateboard, it's the running. It's in a case of I'm going to start, just start. Yeah. I am going running. Versus I am going to start running. Like, just start running. That this day, today. You know, you just make it like, that's what I'm going to commit to, then there's a massive shift, because you just mentioned something really powerful there: decision fatigue. Well, there's also indecision fatigue, the ability to be indecisive, to always have these things floating around that you're going to decide on doing. Well, once you've decided, the commitment becomes, and almost like the universe just pulls towards it. Bang. I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, well, it's the 1st of February today, so it's a good time to do it. So anybody listening to this, what you're going to start today, just start. And I say, well, yeah, and even if it's just a small action towards it, just do it, instead of thinking about what have you been talking about or thinking about doing it for months or even years. Just start today. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to say, well, we've been working together since May, so like you might not be able to articulate it, but how would you think I've changed since we first, or have I changed at all, or have I not? Like from when we first started talking. I know we knew each other before and we talked a bit, but like when I first, can you remember the first coaching session? I can't really remember it. Can you? Go on.
Yeah, we talked about freedom.
Okay.
You want to create a life of freedom.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing. And you often found yourself always giving out to others at the expense of yourself. So you wanted to create a life of freedom, and a life where you were financially free, free in your own space, creatively free, and decision-based free. And one of the challenges that you did have at that time was always others first, putting everybody else first, putting your customers, your clients, your relationships, everything ahead of yourself at the expense of you. And now, so I mean, like, yeah, so imagine that. So that's what was that, May? It's our first conversation. That was the theme. And now it's in that time period, there's a dramatic shift towards you actually putting you first. I go first, then I'm the better for everybody else. Then I'm better for the relationships, personally and professionally. You're making better decisions within your business, more aligned to who you are, as opposed to, again, just always giving out. So it's not just people taking from you now. You've got that like kind of, this is the service I provide. I'm here to serve. This is how I'm going to do it, whether or not it's the new program you're doing, the 5-day 5-star program, or it's other parts of your business. And then on top of that, not only does that help, you've got your freedom in terms of where you are, it'll work towards that financial freedom goal that you have, which you're working towards. And then the other thing I'd say is the biggest thing now is the commitment that you've now created to, I am a writer. Not I am going to write, or I will write a book one day. I am a writer. And that shift in the way that you are showing up like that is just enough to transform your world entirely.
Yeah, love it. I kind of forgot all, but it's still totally true. That's what I wanted, and that's what I want now. And I definitely feel like I'm much more in that space now. Yeah, like you say, creative freedom, financial freedom, decision-making freedom to be creative, all those things, and less, yeah. When I was going through the notes last night, I was one of the things I wrote down. I can't remember if you said it or if I just wrote it down. I put serve, not slave.
You said it, but the be in service or serve is one of my phrases. But you said it, I think, on the last call that we had. So, and I actually wrote that down as well. I was like, that's brilliant. So true, man.
Yeah, because I think before we started working together, well, COVID and everything out of my control, but even before the start of last year, I was kind of feeling like, you talk great when you talk about obligations and commitments, as well as like you're feeling, I have to do this because it's expected and people want me to do it. And even if you're not really feeling it anymore and you're not enjoying it as much as you once did, I probably was. Well, I definitely was feeling like I love the start of week event that I've created. Is amazing, but also it's like 11 months of my year, which is all spent on doing this, and it's a hard slog, and like amazing when it comes together, but it's not like, there's easier things to do. There's easier ways to spend your life, and and to still have the same impact. So that realization for me was that I don't just want to do events. I want to make an impact. I want to create community, collaboration, connectivity. And I can do that in other ways. It doesn't have to be a physical event. It can be these videos, it can be podcasts, it can be books, it can be blogs. It doesn't matter what it is. If I'm still doing that, collaboration, community, connectivity, communication, that's what I want to do, and in a way that serves me as well as others. So it's not just about what other people want. So yeah, you've helped me get that realization and get that clarity. So thank you again. I'm saying thank you again.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And that you know, like, it is all about having that impact, Paul. You know, I like, you use that word, like impact through delivering things like this, impact through your services, impact through the other ventures that you've got going, and making a difference and serving to the world. And to make that impact so powerful, you have to create an impact in yourself first. It all, like, this is the biggest. I hope people take this away. Like, it starts with self, always, and only with self to begin with, because you don't make that impact in the world, you know, and try help other people transform and be impactful in their life. If you're not doing that for you, you can't. Like, nobody's doing that. They're just waking up out of bed, putting the news on, and rushing out the door, and not taking care of the health, and neglecting the family, and not having fun, and not being fulfilled, and not being. You're not making the impact that you could if you take care of you and the power and within yourself, and that self-development investment back to you. When you do that, you've just got so much more you can give. You can create, because now you know you don't resent it anymore. Because if you take care of you, you want to serve others. You serve others. If you don't serve yourself, you start resenting and not wanting to do it. And you've done that. You've flicked that around dramatically, and you're already doing so much of that anyway. But it's almost like that. It's just leveling up. So, and I think what we've done is, like, you've just accepted who you are, accepted your gifts, accepted your talents, accepted your skills, just embraced it, and just go, this is who I am. This is me. This is how I show up in the world. That is beautiful.
Amazing. Right. Okay. I think we'll that was a great way to end it. So I'm going to say, for anyone that is watching this and wants to work with you, what's the best way to do that? Is just to get in touch with you, send you a message through LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn the best way? You can follow you on Instagram as well. Do you sometimes get messages on Instagram? But
I'm on Instagram as David Wilkinson Coach. If you want to, there's the stuff on there. Obviously, my website is davidwilkinsonperformance.com, and LinkedIn as well. And I highly recommend that if you are interested in speaking to me, please go to my website, please go to my LinkedIn and read clients' testimonials, read what clients have said, put yourself in their situation and read it from your perspective. So how that would relate to you. Read the articles and blogs. It's very, very important that you understand what to work together, what that would look like for you, and how much of a commitment you're going to make. Because I've put this on my website, and this is so true. If you do want to work with me, you're going to make the biggest commitment to your life. And then I will hold you to nothing less than that. And I hold myself to the same standards. And that is why we get there, where you can change lives. So always go through my stuff first, read it. Then if it's for you, message me, and we'll start off by having a conversation.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, people need to. I mean, it doesn't, like, you're saying, make a commitment. People do need to commit to it. You know, they need to do it openly and honestly. They've got. I think a key thing is being honest with themselves as well, and not letting the guard down a little bit. Not completely, really. Not feeling like they've got all the answers, and because you're doing it together. It's not you telling them, you're not dictating to them, telling them what to do. It is a collaborative process. So they have to be in the right, they need to be ready for it, or they need to be acknowledged that, the time, I'm at that point now where this is, if I don't do this now, it's not going to change. Nothing's going to improve. And I want things to change. So, and I obviously vouch it's been amazing for me and the other clients that I know through the group sessions as well. So I would encourage anyone to check out the LinkedIn recommendations and speak to you. And all right, and thanks again. I keep saying thank you, but it is you are doing an amazing thing, and really do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. We'll end it there. Okay. Cheers, David. All right. Cheers. Have a great. See you.
Bye, mate. Bye.
See ya.